I'm hoping the computer screens are working. I've got 3 screens here, so it's all doing my head in. I can't see what I'm doing. But what we didn't cover last time was the power of quality content, how to write effective content, and how to pull it all together. So we are going to go through this quite quickly. It was obviously in your pack as well, so you might already know some of this. And most of you have already started work on your websites and your social media and your marketing plans. So hopefully a lot of this is old news to you, and it's just reinforcement. So the first thing to do before you start writing content is to identify and understand your primary objectives and your business goals. And those of you that are writing your marketing plan and business plans will have already done this, because that you cannot write either without having those clear goals. And hopefully they are smart as well, goals. So time, specific, measurable, achievable, reliable, and time bound. So you also need to consider what type of website you're having, because we're talking here obviously about your online content. Now, some people don't bother with a website and they use their social media. That's absolutely fine too. That works for some types of business very, very well. So when I'm talking about content, I'm talking across all media here. So you will know, you need to consider with what your goal is from your content. So not just what your business goal is, but what content you're trying to write and for what purpose. Is it to sell a product? Is it as a lead generation tool to grow your audience, Neil? Or is it for information to establish yourself as an expert in your field? Or most likely is a combination of all of these. And hopefully you'll have multiple social media platforms, because they all have a different purpose. So your Instagram is about your e-commerce and your selling and your product. Your lead generation tool loosely is Twitter and Facebook now. That's about growing your audience, or we shouldn't say Twitter, we need to call it X, don't we now? And your information site is your LinkedIn profile. That's where you position yourself as the expert in the room. So you write your content differently for each platform, and it's really important you do that, or Google's algorithms go, being lazy, not going to like this, so they don't promote you. So it's very important to consider the goal of the content, not just the goal of the business. Obviously, as well, you need to consider your audience, and your audience will vary from all of your platforms and from your website. And your content needs to be adaptable depending on whether your audience is looking at your website from a desktop computer, a tablet, or a phone. Okay, because your content and what's visible on the screen is different, isn't it? And you see different snippets. So getting that content right in that first sentence, if you're on a small screen, is far more important than if you're on a laptop or desktop. So we talked about the audience before, demographics and interests. So hopefully you had some fun writing personas after a fortnight ago. I'm sure most of you have never written a persona in your life and have probably never done it, but it is an integral part of your business plan and your marketing plan. And your marketing plan for sure is incomplete unless you have a minimum of 3 personas in there. Okay, so if you haven't, and even that's Neil and Adam who may have already submitted theirs, if you haven't got your personas in there and your audience identified, add them, because you will not get funding. You will not be successful if you haven't identified that audience. Then you need to look at the purpose and your marketplace, and define your key features and the functionality for your piece of content. So what exactly are you focusing on? So if this is an information piece, which part of your expertise or information about your product are you talking about? So Neil, Adam, it might be that you focus on one key ingredient here that goes across multiple products, but you talk about an ingredient. I don't know, I drink gin, so I'm going to say juniper, but I know that's a very sweeping statement. But you do a piece on juniper and the importance of it, and maybe you bring in some medicinal purposes, some historic stuff, some stuff about the spiritual beliefs behind some of the herbs and spices that are used and why they're there, and medicinal purposes as well. And all of these need to link together. So the key features need to link back to the audience. So they need to be relevant for that audience, and they need to be hitting that goal for that content as well. So all of this works together. Joe, persona should be in the business plan and the marketing plan. Your target audience is a key part of your business plan. It probably takes up about a quarter of your business plan. And from your marketing plan, it's easily a good 20% of your marketing plan. So absolutely should be in both. And sometimes it's a copy and paste, but in the marketing plan, we take it forward and we talk about how we're going to address it as well. Okay, so your business plan is this is my target audience. This is 5,000 people in a 10-mile radius or whatever it happens to be. And you talk about the geographical segmentation, which we'll come to in a minute, actually, with the selling bit. And in the marketing plan, you take each of those that you've mentioned in your business plan and you develop a strategy to contact and reach and engage with each of them. Go into more detail. So you looked at the personas, okay, and we showed you this slide last week as well. So I really suggest that you use something like this as what you're going to do and what you shouldn't do. And this is from a marketing perspective, but it doesn't hurt to have too much in your business plan. Only ever hurts you when you have too little, okay? And then what we do is we do about content mapping, and this is about awareness and consideration and decision, and it's taking people through that life cycle that we spoke about last time, okay? Those 8 touch points. So the bit that you see something a couple of times before you actually really notice it. And if it's not a purchase that you need, so it's not a new car because your old car is dead and you need to get to work on Monday, you have a more considered approach. So this all falls into that as well. So again, within your content, another layer is your article or your web page about building an awareness, or is it actually to push that person into that decision? Because the language you will use within it will be different. You'll be much more direct about your with your content if you're pushing people to make that final decision. You will have those calls to action subliminally and directly within that content. And of course, we need to make sure as well that it's all optimized. So you've done your keyword research, you've done your key phrase research, and you've looked at what else is trending on the search engine so that you match your competitors and beat them. So this is all about the search engine land that Richard was going on about last week. And this part of it is the free bit. This is just the only cost of this is your time. You do not need to pay for this. One of the best resources I like is Answer the Public, because it gives you an awful lot of information. It gives you questions, it gives you words, it gives you geography. So it's answerthepublic.com. You don't need to pay for it. You get 3 free searches a day. Okay, so you can have fun, but you should doing more than 3 a day will just do your head in anyway. But it will come up with a wheel of about 50 questions. Those are the questions people are asking in the last 90 days. Okay, and those are the questions then that you can segue into your piece of content, into the titles on your website, into the titles of your blogs, into your social media content with short, sharper answers all the way through, because those are the ones that people are actually asking for. And you should repeat this regularly, so quarterly, 6 monthly, because the information is only good at that point in time. What Google expects from websites today is you to have the solid foundation. So it's crawlable, it's secure, it's fast, mobile friendly, that it's stable, you've got a good connection, it's hosted on the right platforms, it's hosted in more than one server, so that if one goes down, you don't lose everything. And the content needs to be fresh, it needs to be newsworthy or share-worthy is the new phrase for that. And it needs to be useful to the person who's reading it. And what you're trying to do and what Google wants you to do is generate interaction. So it doesn't want people just to sit there, read that blog, go, oh, that's okay. It wants people to like it, to comment, to share it, because that's when Google goes, okay, this is really good content. People are liking this, they're engaging with this. Let's tick those boxes. So imagine it a bit like someone walking into a shop and just browsing the shelves going, yeah, okay, I like that. I like those teddy bears on those shelves. What you actually want people to do is pick them up, take them off the shelf, hold them and engage with them, and then ultimately buy them. So they also want all of your links on your website to suppliers or to other websites or to other sources of information to be reputable and have good authority. So it's really important that before Your mate down the pub says, can you put a link to my website on yours, please? Or even your web developer, that you check that they have a good standing as well, because you will be enhanced if their reputation is bigger than yours, but you will be dragged back if theirs is lower. You share that reputation. So imagine it being sort of two sides, whichever way round. Your joint reputation is only the average of where you both stand. You can get information like that from looking at their following, their engagement and so forth on their social media. You can look at their visitors on their website, but you get a gut for it really. But don't just share your links with people, and don't just give links away to people without checking that they're credible first. Okay, so checks on Companies House to check that they're not insolvent and things like that are good as well. Check their Google reviews, okay, because here you're trying to impress Google. Okay, your people visiting your website, very little interest in where the links are unless they're to things like the RSPCA if you're an animal charity or something like that for information. But check their Google reviews before you give away a link to them, because it does you no help if they're a worse off business than you are. So reviews as well are the most important thing that you can get. That is the best way of growing traffic. Don't get your wife or husband or partner to write you a review and then get their mother to do it and then get your brother-in-law to do it. People are not stupid. Don't get loads of people in your built house or office to do them, because Google will see that the IP is there. But get credible, verifiable reviews. It's all right to ask Bob down the pub if he can do you a review, but my own personal view is it should be a genuine review. It shouldn't be one that you've got just to try and trick Google, because Google will cotton on. And if you're not currently selling or trading and you start getting reviews now, people are going to know that they're fake, and Google will actually start putting little markers. Okay, so be careful. There's a temptation there. And please, when you start getting those emails saying, I can get you 100 5-star Google reviews in 30 days and put you at the top of the search engines, delete them, block them, mark them as spam, and do not pay them a single penny, because they are a con and it does not work. And the second most important thing about reviews is, even if you get a bad review, respond to it. I'm really, really sorry that you've had that experience. Please give me a call on and let's discuss this, or something similar. Don't ignore the bad ones. If they're malicious, report them. If there's somebody who's got it aimed for you, please report them. And Google will start blocking that person from giving reviews if they're a repeat offender or a robot. But whether it's good or bad, always respond. Okay, because that is key. And you get extra points from Google for doing that. So people coming onto your website or onto the internet have different reasons for being there. And I think we looked at this with Richard last week a little bit. So they're looking for either information, they're looking for a specific website or brand, so they're putting in your name into the search engine, or they're coming in with an intent to purchase. And this table just tells you the types of content to consider. And obviously, I think you've got this already in the handout I gave you last week, but if it wasn't including that, let me know and I will send this table to you. Okay, this is a really good way of saying, right, this is what I want to do. How do I need to do this? And what sort of titles, what sort of language do I need to use? So quick question, what do you think makes content powerful? What makes you look at a website and stay on there? Okay, no one knows anything about good content.
Basically, if it answers what I'm looking for.
Absolutely. Perfect answer. Gold star. Top of the class, Adam. Well done. You don't need to do any more homework. Doesn't matter what Sally says. Yay. That's the perfect answer. If it answers the question. And that's where your personas are so important, because those personas will tell you what people are typically coming to do on your website, and your competitor research will tell you what people are trying to do. Okay, if you don't answer that question, someone will go away. If I walk into the supermarket, let's go back to the early days of COVID, because I needed to buy toilet paper and there was no toilet paper in Lidl's, or Tesco's or wherever, I walk out dissatisfied. The same thing happens on your websites, okay? So knowing what people want to do, and you do have to make assumptions when you're new, is really, really key to that. Okay, anyone else got any ideas on what powerful content would be? Hi, Clive.
Hi, how you doing? Sorry I'm late.
That's
I've
all
had a
right, no
wasted
worries.
I've had a wasted morning already.
I won't waste your time today then, I hope.
Oh no, you're not. I've been out to do a site survey with the builder he's a nightmare. And we get there and he's forgotten to get the client to organise to leave a key out so we can get in and do the bloody survey. Well done.
Fabulous. We're just talking about content. So you've got most of this information in the slides I gave you last week, but
It's website content.
it's online content, but it covers all content.
Right.
So as everyone's gone deathly silent, probably because Sally's reminded them they need to get their business plans and marketing plans to her like yesterday, I'll give you the answer. So creative and powerful content ticks most of these 12 boxes, okay? Not every piece has to tick every single one. Don't try and feel that it does. These are really the sort of the 12 nuggets that I want you to take away. And if you can tick 5 or 6 of these, at least 4, then please do so. So as Adam has said, it needs to be relevant. So it needs to provide a solution to the person reading it. It needs to be clear. Please, people, do not use jargon. Use a little bit of jargon for search engines, but explain what that jargon is. Put some definitions in there if you're going to do jargon. The only people that understand jargon in your industry are other people in your industry. They are not your customers. Okay, so avoid the complex language that's going to confuse people. You don't make yourself look more with more of an expert by putting in difficult words and long words. Okay, we are not, no one in this room is a lawyer. Okay, we don't need to use long words. Okay, make it engaging and compelling. Okay, again, storytelling, really good headline writing, good visuals, interactive elements are all good ways of making it compelling and engaging. And that's why using a mixture of your website and your social media and any other thing else that you've got. So if you're doing leaflets, if you're doing shows, things like that, or brochures are really good. If you're having open days, have some activities, have things. No, it sounds silly, but I helped a garden centre open. We did a wildlife tour with tick box, like a treasure hunt. It was brilliant. More adults did it than the children we thought were going to do it. And more adults came back and said, could they have the lollipop as the prize than the children? So probably says a lot for us as adults, doesn't it? And our inner child, but be interesting, okay? Be compelling. Be original. All of you have original and unique businesses because they've got you in it and they've got your ideas in it. So use that. Tell your stories. Be original. Don't hide behind your brand name. Be proud to be the face of your business. Make sure you deliver value and make sure you tap into that emotional appeal. That's what makes most of us buy is an emotional connection. And that's where people buying people comes in. If you're working, say, to buy a car on a showrooms, you tend to buy from the garage where you like the salesperson more. So the same thing here in your words, be authentic. Focus on your user. Again, I'm going back to those personas. Make it visual, make it credible and trustworthy. Don't be afraid to hide, to shout about your qualifications and your awards and things like that. They are things that set you apart from your competition as well. Took me ages. I spent years going, I'm not going to tell people that I've won an award every year I've been in business. And then it suddenly dawned on me, I'm missing a trick here and I'm a marketeer and I ought to know better. So I started telling everyone that I've won an award in one of the top 3 marketing agencies in Somerset for the last 8 years. All of a sudden the phone starts ringing. Don't hide behind your qualifications. Don't be too proud or too shy. Okay? Have calls to action, but not everywhere. No one likes to be sold at every single day of the week, which is ironic because we're going to go on to successful selling in a minute. But have some calls to action. Click here for more information. Don't be afraid to give me, put messages that say, if you're unsure or have got any questions, please feel free to give us a call. We're happy to chat through and see if we can solve your situation or answer your problems or whatever it happens to be. Be mindful of the SEO optimization. Use things like Answer the Public and other tools that you've been told during the digital marketing and through your normal marketing sessions. And just make sure you're consistent. Okay, and consistency and authenticity are probably your two strongest tools in your toolbox. Don't suddenly be one thing one week and something else the next. Don't flick flack because people get confused. So to sum it up, you need the right content to the right people at the right time. And through your business plan, your marketing plan, and through everything that you've done so far with all of the advisors, you should be really quite clear now on where they are. Content mapping is just the process that pulls it all together. So it's about knowing where that person comes in and how close they are to making a purchase, because you might just need to tell them a bit more about the features of what you're doing before you tell them what the price is, for example. Again, it comes into the selling in a minute. So question, how do we do this effectively? Who here has started to use AI? Who's used ChatGPT? Yeah, how have you found it, Adam?
If you use it as the right tool with the right prompts, it does a reasonable job, but you do still have to edit and review what it produces. If you rely on it just to churn stuff out, it can make some horrendous horrendous mistakes.
Yeah, I couldn't have put it better myself. It's a fantastic tool when used properly, like most things in life, eh? It is not, you could put in there, please write me a business plan for a spirits company using heritage recipes called spiritual spirits, blah, blah, blah. Please include X, Y, Z and a projection that in the first 5 years, we're going to hit £1 million turnover. And it will write you a business plan. And that business plan will be credible, but it won't be your business plan. It will be from all the business plans that are on the internet up until July 2021. And it won't be yours. So be careful, like Adam says, it does a good job to start and it's a good place to look for prompts, but it's not the answer it's not the silver bullet. What about content writers, marketing companies, web companies? Who's used them? What's your experience? Yeah, go on, Adam.
Again, I have to be very careful with some of the content writers. If they might claim that they understand the industry, but quite often they'll just go and search somebody else's website and then rehash it. In terms of marketing companies, they're really good at taking the information from you, regurgitating it onto some sort of A4 format report, and then going, "Look, we've done this, isn't it fantastic? Now pay us a couple of grand." And you're like, "No, because that's what I told you." There are a lot of sham people out there who basically took on the idea of doing marketing because, quite frankly, they thought it was easy money. So finding a good one, it's best to go through recommendations from other people and actually, review what they've done previously, rather than just taking people at face value.
Honestly, Adam, I think you and I need a bottle of wine and a big whinge about my soapbox items because you're just listing them off here at the moment.
Fair enough. And again, web companies, much the same as marketing companies, you find somebody that's got a good reputation or get a recommendation from somebody, because otherwise they'll just cut and paste from somewhere else or churn out something from WordPress.
Adam, I feel that you've had a really bum deal if anyone's in a position, I can assure you my marketing company does not do what Adam has just done, but I know a lot who do. And web companies, I've kissed all the frogs before I've found the half dozen princes that I'm happy to sort of trust the reputation of my business with. The message there from Adam is, I think, do your research. He's cynical. Do your research, but these companies are only as good as the information you give them in a lot of cases. There are a few good ones. I like to think that mine is one, obviously, because I would be wrong if I started saying I wasn't. We do a lot of research. So it takes us about 3 months before we take on a client of doing research in multiple ways. That's unusual. There's not a lot of other agencies that do that, but that's one of our USPs. So let me ask you then, are you best doing it yourself, doing it in-house?
No, I've got other things to do.
Thank you.
Yeah, it depends on your skill set, doesn't it? I guess it depends on your background and knowledge and things like that, isn't it? I mean, I'm not any of those. So, I've created a website, but only using a website generating company. So, yeah.
Yeah. So yes, it is good to do things in-house and do things yourself if it's within your skill set. But none of you on this course are here to do marketing or finance or legal or HR. You're all here to deliver a different service or product or opportunity to the market. That's where you're the expert. Okay, so make sure that you use the experts in the room, but do your research. And Adam's absolutely right. Get recommendations. Don't listen to what I say about my company being good. I'm quite happy for you to ask any number of my customers and people that I've worked with, and they'll tell you, because that's more powerful. And that's the other part of the message for your content. You've got stories to tell that are your customers' stories about how you've delivered huge, good service to them. Then that's more powerful than your own content. So that's again where your reviews come in, case studies. Use a showcase module or case studies to say, this is what we did and this is how it changed that customer's life. Maybe not their entire life. That might be a slight exaggeration, but how it changed their business life, or it changed that period of time for them, because that's far more powerful than anything else that you can put out there. So we've already found out about how Adam feels about AI. I'll let you all consider AI for yourselves quietly in the background. Budget, Joe. Yeah, budget is always a problem. But if you've done your business plan properly, then you factored in the budget for that and you've done your research, then you may have some budget for it. The other way that you can find budget for it is some of the right agencies will do it on a profit sharing, or they'll defer payments for so many months until you're going. So I'm working with a company that's just started up. I'm not invoicing them till January. If anything happens between now and January, I have a contract, which means that they will pay me the money out of the stock that would be sold. So they are a product industry. So some companies can do that. Again, as a supplier, I might not have the budget to do that because I still need to pay wages. But luckily, I've got myself into a position where in this instance, I can. But it's having that honest conversation. Don't trust Bob down the pub unless Bob happens to also work in marketing or content writing or web design, because Bob's probably no better an amateur than you are. We like Bob. Everyone likes Bob. He's a good laugh and he'll do things for free and he'll bend over backwards. But actually, it will cost you more in the long run to unpick something that's done with 100% goodwill but done incorrectly than actually to find that budget up front. Okay, and there are grants and there are loans, and certain banks will lend you money or grant you money to be able to do that. And there's quite a few startup grants out there at the moment that you can get that will help you do specifically set up your online and your marketing bits. And as marketers and web developers, we can write specific quotes that tick the boxes for those for you. So pulling it all together for this bit of the session, because we've obviously got the selling part to do, it's about knowing your audience, knowing your product, researching what the search engines are doing, recognizing that online we only have 6 seconds to make the best first impression. So your headlines, your images, your layout, and everything is important. That being consistent about everything online and offline is hugely important. So you're one company, your message is always the same. That you're authentic. There's nothing wrong with saying we're having a tough time at the moment, or apologizing for something that's gone wrong. That actually just makes you a real person and human, and people actually like humans. Choose the best sort of help for your audience and for your budget, and do the best that you possibly can, because the most important part of your launch of your new businesses is going to be in your websites, in your marketing, because without that, you won't get going. After that, other things become more important, your accountant and so forth, your contracts obviously are all in there as well. But it's your marketing that will make or break it. Update regularly all your content. Go back to a blog you've written 3 years ago and rewrite it. bring it up to date with changes in law and legislation, with other environmental circumstances, with other trends that are happening, you know, relate it to current affairs and evolve and grow. And as Adam said, don't rely on AI to do it for you, because it won't do as good a job as you do. So we've covered all of those bits really, really quickly. I'm going to ask if there's any quick questions before we go into selling. Nope. Fabulous.